how do I find myself? Like, if I wanted to hire a painter, how do I hire a painter? If I wanted to hire a landscaper or whatever, or a online business manager, how do I do that? Like,
Yeah.
so you're literally just going to start with whatever that service is that you offer and type it in Google.
Yeah.
And then you can go over to something like Uber Suggest or some other free keyword search tool. Like, you can just Google
Yeah.
online free keyword search tool and then put that term in there, and it's going to bring you a lot of others.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for Behind the Scenes. I'm excited to have my guest Amanda here with me. She is the CEO of TDM Marketing and host of the Determined Mom Show podcast, which is how we actually met because I was a guest on her podcast, which was a blast. But she lives with her husband, Bert, and 3 daughters in York, Pennsylvania. And she is a determined work at home mom. Amanda was a determined work-at-home mom as soon as she possibly could when she found out she was having her 3rd daughter on the way. And so she has a great story. I don't want to give away all her details because I want her to share with us, how she got started, what she's doing now. And she's going to be talking about Google My Business, which is not talked about enough in the online space. So, Amanda, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Emma. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm so glad you decided to share with us because this is a topic we haven't gone into, or I haven't even really gone into in other podcasts as well.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what got you started? I know your kids are a big driver of that, but what kind of got you into the online space and how did you leave corporate?
Yeah. So I was managing a credit union, and that is a very intensive job. Like, you have to be there. It's not like you can be like from home, like, oh yeah, open the safe and like get out like $10,000 for that. Like, it doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
you have to be there. You have to be like involved with your team. You have to be driving sales. You have to
Yeah.
be on. And this particular credit union was an anomaly. It was open 7 days a week, 362 days out of the year.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was on New Year's Day, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. So I got to write the schedule. However, I still worked from 9 to 7 most of the time.
That's a long
I
day.
missed, yeah, exactly. Like, I missed all of the like Girl Scout meetings, the like school events, like parent teacher conferences, like all of that stuff. I wasn't able to attend. My husband did, thankfully, but
Right.
I wanted to be there too. So I kind of got tired of that. And then we found out we were expecting our 3rd daughter. And I was like, no, not doing
Right.
this anymore. Like, there's no way. Um,
Yep. I just think like
and
people are like, how do you balance entrepreneurship and kids? I'm like, how do you balance a corporate job and kids?
yeah, I literally couldn't work. Like, I literally could not go to like a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
I've gotten multiple offers in the last like couple years to go back to a 9 to 5 job. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't do it.
Yep.
So, I also missed out on like the first, 6 weeks or like 6 months, a year of the first two being born,
Mhm.
because they were either with me at work and I was just working.
Yeah.
Because for the first one, I owned my own business and I just strapped her to me and did what I needed to do.
Gosh, yeah.
And I missed it, like I missed the crawling and the like all that stuff because she was like on me and like I was working, and yeah. So
Yeah.
I was
What
like, I don't
business
want to
was
do that again.
that? Or is
That
it
was a
like
paint it yourself pottery studio. So it was completely different. I have like a million different lives, past lives. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. It brings
Um,
a unique perspective.
yeah, definitely. So I've owned a brick and mortar and I've done that, been there. I understand everything that goes into it. But
Yep.
with the second one, like, she was just home with my husband and like he took care of her, which is great. But I wanted to do that with the third one, like, because I didn't have that, and
Yeah.
we thought, okay, this is going to be our last kid. So it didn't end up being our last kid, which I'm pregnant now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yay. But I was just tired of it and I was like, okay, I gotta find something to do. I started off trying to do blogging,
Mm,
realized that it takes like a couple years to get that going.
yep.
And
That
then
is what I wanted to start with as well, but
yeah,
I'm like, I hate writing.
yeah, me too, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is not gonna work out. And then I went into insurance, because I had already had insurance licenses from the credit union,
That's
and I
awesome.
hated that, like, absolutely hated insurance. If I ever have to sell someone insurance again, I'll probably just, like, call it quits with life in general because I
Yep.
can't stand it. Um,
God bless the people that can, but
yes.
I don't know if
Oh,
I could.
no, no, not for me. And so I ended up like, okay, I can do VA work. Like I have all of these skills. I have management skills. I have administrative skills. I have so many
Yeah.
skills. And so I ended up doing that. And my first client owns a marketing agency in Tacoma, Washington, and I still work for him to this day. I still do a lot of work for him. And that was 5 years ago. And he
That's
was like,
amazing.
"What do you want to learn how to do?" And I said, "I would love to learn how to do SEO, something that I
Okay.
don't know anything about." So I started doing some SEO work for his clients. He paid for me to do a couple courses, and the rest is history. So
So that is what you predominantly do in TDM marketing, or can you tell us a little bit about the services you offer that like you kind of transition from the VA work to now what you specialize in?
yeah. So the thing that I realized as I'm doing the SEO work is that SEO is a very long game. There's no quick
Mhm.
wins. There's no like, if I just change the title of my site, I'm going to rank. There's no
Yeah.
like, there's just nothing that's quick about it.
No.
And I'm an instant gratification person, and I know a lot of people are. I
Yep.
have ADHD, so I'm like, okay, that's not working. Let's move to something else. But
Right.
what I realized is when I'm posting to their Google My Business profiles, which it used to be called Google My Business,
Yep.
when I'm, optimizing it, when I'm making changes to it, I'm seeing results. Like their views would skyrocket, their calls would skyrocket, their
Yeah.
website visits would skyrocket. And I'm like, why isn't anybody doing this? Like nobody's like paying attention to this. So I started really like experimenting and
Yeah.
honing in on the changes that I was making to the client profiles for my client, and
Yeah.
realize like this is like the most powerful tool on the internet and nobody's using it. And still here we are 5 years later,
Yep.
same thing. But
Same thing.
yeah, I've been doing my part to talk about it for the last 5 years. So that's all I can do.
The biggest thing as a consumer that bugs me is when the Google My Business that like when a business it's not accurate. Like there's a
Yeah.
place near us that it says its hours are one thing, and then I'll take my daughter to go, like it's a play indoor play area,
Yes.
and it's like never open
Yeah.
at the one time. And I'm like, I get it if you're short staffed, but like then change your hours. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's so frustrating if it's not correct. But when it's optimized, it's great. Like
Yeah.
you can find so much info and it just pops up when you need
Yeah.
it.
And it's free. Like
Right.
there's no reason for you not to be changing those hours and changing those things, because
Yeah.
you are going to irritate customers if you have that information wrong.
Yep.
And many businesses don't realize that. Like if you do that 3 times, guaranteed you're just going to find somewhere else to go, right? Like
Right.
if you show up there and they're closed every time you go, you're
Yep.
not going to go back a fourth time or a second time, however your tolerance level is. You're just
Right.
going to be like, okay, done with this business. Let's find something else to do.
Exactly. Or like we were looking at a wedding venue and their coordinates that came up on the Google My Business were so wrong. Like it didn't register. Like we were so lost because it was out in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, well, this is, it just like puts a bad taste in your mouth of
Yeah.
like right off the get go. And you don't want that. And like you said, it's free to be
Yeah.
using. Like even if you don't have a website, you could be doing this.
Yeah. And they actually offer a free website too. Like
Really?
literally, like that's part of the Google My Business package is that you can literally click website and it will build like a free, very simple, basic website with all of your Google My Business information and a
That's
picture.
awesome.
Yeah, it's super simple.
And nowadays you can go to Canva and make some images or like some graphics to put like just upload onto there if you
Yeah.
need. It's not,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be super complicated anymore.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, for anyone who's listening who doesn't really know Google My Business though, can you break it down for how maybe like quick tips to get started and then, how you or what you've seen with Google My Business and SEO combined? Because I know you said this is like the quick and gratification,
Mhm.
but you're still going to use that SEO to help for the long term.
Definitely. Definitely. So if you don't know what it is, if you go to your phone right now and you do a quick search on Google and say
Yeah.
coffee shop near me, that's
Yeah.
always the search that I do. You're gonna
Yeah.
see 3 little boxes pop up, and then you're gonna see, like, directions, hours, phone call, or, like, call, website, so those little buttons.
Yep.
Those are the Google My Business profiles,
Yeah.
and it allows you as a business owner to control what the internet sees about your business. So that's literally why Google
Mhm.
made these, because they wanted the maps listings to be more accurate.
Yep.
So they gave the business owners control of this information. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of like a really smart way of like being like, okay, we want to make sure that everything's right. So here you control this. However, when the business owners aren't, we obviously know what happens. So
Yeah.
um, it is an extremely powerful tool. It's the only place online that you can actually input information into Google's algorithm. You can tell it where you are, you can tell it
Right.
what you do, you can tell it what services you offer, what products you offer, how people can get in touch with you. You can
Right.
directly, people can call you with one click. Instead of going to Google search, they're going to have to click on your website, figure out where your phone number is, click that. If you don't have it clickable, then they're actually going to have to like type it in. That's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
like there's so many things that are like amazing about Google My Business. So that alone will increase your business. Like I've seen people go from like, oh my God, I'm not sure if I can stay open, to within 6 weeks, like having more business that they can even like,
Right.
so
Handle. Or no, it's like, 'cause they don't have the internal
yeah,
capacity, which is like the
yeah,
stuff I handle and help with is we talk about,
exactly.
having internal stuff so you can, handle that capacity because Amanda and I were talking before we first started recording, and I think this is such a valuable piece since she has said like she's expecting again, which is amazing, but she just got 2 clients within the last couple of weeks from Google My Business, and now she's set, before going on maternity leave. So I would love to hear how you as an online business owner, because you operate online. So like how do you kind of optimize your Google My Business with I don't know if you list like your home address or like kind of like what do you do to optimize that since you kind of work remote and can work with anybody.
Yeah. So there are two different options when you create a profile. You can do a location-based business, which would be if you have a brick and mortar, like you have a store people can come to, an office, a location of some sort,
Yeah.
or you can do a service-based business. So that's how my business is set up. And I basically have my home address hidden. However, it's going to show up within a radius, right?
Okay. That's good to
And
know.
it's going to show up. And actually, you on the back end, you get 20 different locations that you can mark as service
Mm,
areas. So you want to try to keep those as local to your area as possible. Within,
okay.
they generally recommend a 2 hour driving distance. So as
Okay.
long as it's within 2 hours of your house, you can target those metropolitan areas. And
Gotcha.
I'm lucky because I live in kind of like the middle of a million different metropolitan areas. Like we live an hour from Baltimore. We live like 2 hours from DC. We live 2 hours from Philadelphia. We live about 2.5 hours from New York City. So like we have all
Right.
these options for targeting just based on where I live. But just targeting major cities that are near you is going to be one of the best things you can do. And obviously places if you're a service-based business that you're willing to drive to, if that's what you do, you don't want to be like a locksmith driving like 2.5 hours to do something. So keep
Right.
that in mind. But you know, just it's you can just do so many things as a service-based business and as a location-based business. So they really have it set up so that way you can win either way.
And I think that's probably what a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I know a lot of brick and mortar, like I mentioned before we started recording, my husband kind of uses it. He hasn't optimized it to the fullest yet. But he's starting to play around with it with his newest business because they're brick and mortar and they want to be found locally.
Yeah.
But all online service providers like who are listening or in our network of they might be they might not know, they might not realize, and I feel like that's where
Right.
I was, before we kinda started this conversation of, like, I didn't realize that you could do it
Yeah.
or optimize it, and for me too, and anyone listening that maybe they're, like, weirded out about putting their address out there because I know, like, we have a PO box that is listed for our addresses for our businesses because of everything going like, that we had talked about or everything that happened with me and, like, you
Yeah.
know extra security because of my abuser and all that. But so when if anyone's listening, you can do a PO box address probably as well within your city, or can you not?
You cannot actually. So it
Really?
has to be a physical address. But if you
Okay.
do it as a service-based address, then you're not going to, it's still not going to be displayed. So no one
Okay.
can find it. Um,
Gotcha.
so it's really just for verification purposes because there are
Mm,
people out there that go and they clean businesses, they make them up just to get traction and things like that. And so it's a kind of like a spam protection from Google. You need to
yeah.
be able to verify that business.
Even if like so like our PO box is listed as our business addresses.
Hmm.
So
Yep, even if. Yeah.
even if okay, so like it wouldn't flag us if we put like our home address, but our PO box is listed with our LLCs.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. That's good to know because I do know some people who do have like that same setup, PO
Yeah.
boxes, because they don't want to have to list
Hmm.
their address on their like email marketing tool because that's
Yeah. Exactly.
another legal thing that you have to think about is
Yeah.
having that um on there as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
So with your business, how have you seen so do you work with a lot of local people or how have you been able to optimize um not just local clients, but getting clients elsewhere as well?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, most of my clients now come from referrals from
Gotcha.
my existing clients. So,
Yeah,
um, that's something that happens. I do get referrals or do get clients from Google My Business, from LinkedIn, because
gotcha.
that's where professional, businesses try
Yep.
hang out. So I get a lot of, business from there. But I definitely have my listing optimized. I collect reviews on there. I
Right.
respond to the reviews. I do regular updates. So anytime I have either a podcast episode coming out or any kind
Yeah.
of post about Google My Business, I do post it there.
Okay.
And that's something that you should really be doing at least once a week for our clients in our agency. We actually do it 3 times per week because we've actually been monitoring this for several years now and
Okay.
seeing the results for like of 1 post per week versus 2 versus 3. And 3 is like that sweet spot. So
So you're saying you're posting can you explain that a little bit more? So like it's a post for your podcast or a blog and then you're tying it to the Google business? Is that what you're saying?
yes, so it's
Okay.
kind of like a social media update.
Okay.
But it's a little bit cooler because okay, so there's a COVID post you can do. You can
Yeah.
post an event. So if you're hosting either an online event or
Oh,
an in-person event, you can actually post an event. And if you were to go to Google right now and type events near me,
yeah.
Google's going to bring up a little knowledge panel of all of the events near you. You
I've
can
done
sort them
that.
by date, you can sort them by location, you can sort them by online, you can
Yeah,
by in person. So if you're having events and you don't have them there, you're missing out. Um,
totally.
yeah. So there's that part. There are offers. So you could actually create an offer, some sort of discount. It doesn't even have to be a discount.
Yeah.
You just post something that you already offer and, you know, just put it up there. It can be at your regular price. It doesn't have to be a discounted price. A
Yeah.
lot of people think offer and they think, oh, I have to like come up with something. Just post something that you already have.
Yeah.
Those types of posts get about 100 times more views than a regular post. So that's
I'm
something that's really important to know.
I'm so intrigued by this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be doing so much research this weekend because I
Yeah.
definitely don't optimize mine. And we've been kind of talking about this. So you saying the post, what are some other things that we need to have optimized
Mhm.
to, just some tips of
Yeah.
we mentioned the phone number working, or you kind of touched on that, but what are like the main key things to look for to optimize?
Let me go over the one last post type and then we'll
Okay.
jump into that. So there's
Yep.
the last post type is what's new. And that's
Oh,
where you would put a photo and some text. And
okay.
so the text is really important. You get 1,500 characters, and there
Okay.
are 6 different calls to action like buy now, book, learn more. So learn more would be the button that I always use for podcast episodes,
Okay.
for example. Um, book now. I think there's like a schedule call, and if you
Okay.
hit the call, it automatically includes your phone number, or
Okay.
it automatically creates a button that has one click to your call to call you.
Okay.
So that's probably the most important out of all of those different posts. So I didn't want to miss that one out. I didn't want to leave
Yeah.
that one out. But as far as optimizing, you need to have a great photo. You need to try to upload as many photos as you can.
Mm,
You need to make sure that everything is filled out. That's one of the
okay.
biggest mistakes that I see is that people will create their thing and then they're like, "Oh, I don't really have like regular hours, so I'm not going to put hours down." Well, if you don't have regular hours, just literally set it to 24 hours. Like
Yeah.
anything is better than nothing because you don't want to let Google know that you don't have regular hours or, like you just need to have
Yeah.
everything filled out in order for them to consider your listing complete.
Or like, you're gonna contact people at certain hours, or like there's
Mhm.
gotta be a time frame because like I talk about that with my clients is like they're like, "Oh, well, I don't work certain hours." I'm like, "Well, you need to tell your clients like when to expect a response back from you because they're like talking about being burnt out or like they're responding to clients at all hours." I'm like, "No, no, no. We need to like you're being burnt out because you're not setting up any boundaries. Like use those as your hours, like when are
Yes.
your normal times to respond to people? Even
Yeah.
if you put 9 to 3,
Yep.
that's
That's exactly right.
put boundaries up, people.
Yeah. Mine are like 9 to 3, Monday through Thursday, I think. And I'm
Yeah.
closed on Friday because Friday is my podcast recording day. So I don't do anything else.
Yes,
So I don't have any meetings available. So,
exactly. Like standardize your schedule, put up the
yes.
boundaries, don't get yourself burnt out. And you can then, you want to, like we already talked about, give them a good client experience, set their expectation up of, how to work with you, what to expect.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a quick question about the photos since before
Yeah.
we go down the other like the other ways. But, my question as a service provider is, like, what kind of photos would you say to put up? Or, like, what kind of photos are you putting up for clients if, because I automatically think product-based businesses, they put photos up of their business, like their brick and mortar and their
Mhm.
products. But what would you recommend other than, like, putting up a bunch of pictures of yourself? Because 'Cause I'm sure that's not
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we deal with a large range of businesses. So we have,
Right.
for example, like a contractor, and that contractor will do either before and afters or,
Mhm.
photos of finished work. Obviously, that's easy.
Yeah.
We also have someone obscure, like a doula, right?
Right.
We actually have two doulas. So um,
That's awesome.
I know I love them. They're like my favorite clients to work with. And now
Yeah.
I have a surrogacy agency. So that's also like another fun,
Oh
like
my
if I
gosh.
could just work with the birthing industry, that would be amazing. But
That'd be
um,
so fun.
yeah.
Oh my
But so pictures of babies, like, hello, who doesn't
Mhm.
want to post pictures of babies all day? Like I do.
I
So
know.
that's like why they're my favorite client. But like just anything that's really relevant to your industry. For
Okay.
me, like a Google My Business post might be like obviously like a picture of a desktop or stats. Like I have
Mm,
reporting stats that I can pull and, things like that that I can post.
yeah.
As far as product photos, this is where it kind of gets a little tricky in a service-based industry like, you and I.
Yep.
What I've done is I've created a standardized kind of cover in Canva that literally just says like Google My Business Management monthly. And it
Mm,
has a certain style to it. It's consistent with my branding.
yeah.
And that's what I use as a product photo. It's literally a black photo or a black background
Yeah.
with the words and my branding colors. So
Okay.
um,
Do
if
you
you're
list like any of the features? Like, would you recommend that for service based? Because I do have social posts that I put out every so often if I have spots available to work with me and just summarizes like main bullet points, like this is what this service includes. Like, would you
yeah,
recommend that or do you think,
yes,
okay.
because the thing that you want to always keep in mind is that Google is a search engine, right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
really optimizing every post and
Right.
everything on our listing, including our description,
Yeah.
to include keywords. So you want to include things like, business management, operations,
Right.
things that are really critical to your clients. Like, what are they looking for? What is their pain point? What are they
Mm-hmm.
searching for? Why are they searching for it? So you
Right.
need to answer those questions in your post.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes, and I think that helps give people who are, like you said, like you and I, it's sometimes hard for them to put or create tangible pictures because sometimes what we offer isn't always a tangible thing. And I really like how you said the metrics and having some data. Like if you can put together, like even in a Canva document or
Yep.
post, like how you said, to put some key metrics in place of, what you've got results you've gotten for clients, or if you have tests, like I know a ton of people, they put testimonial posts out on social media all the
Yeah,
time. That's another probably great one to
it
put
is.
to build that social trust with people Googling you.
Yeah, it definitely is. And a great visual is going to go a really long way on Google because it's literally a
Mhm.
visual search engine as well as a,
Yeah,
text search engine as well as video at this point. Like everything
yeah.
can be searchable, images,
Yes.
everything.
So, like, yeah, when you Google something probably related to your business, do you have like you kind of mentioned this, but the podcasts that you produce, will they pop up as well? Like those episodes, are those considered a
Yep.
post, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
they are considered a post as well. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And those are probably rich with keywords because of the show notes and the graphics and
Yes.
all of that good stuff.
Exactly. And you always want to just good SEO practice. You always want to try to name your photos with the like if
Mm,
whatever's in the image or whatever service it is or whatever, you just want to
yeah.
make sure that you're naming that photo. So then that way when you put it into Google, it's going to come up in Google search. So
That's also a really good tip because I think that's something that's also overlooked. I know I've overlooked it a couple of times with my
yeah,
pictures, not labeling them properly.
yeah,
Um, and I used to work with a blogger, like she did
yeah,
marketing, blogging specifically, and they would always talk about meta
yes,
tags, that's descriptions and everything. Because like you mentioned before, SEO is a long game, and just to, like, for people who are probably intimidated about SEO, that might
hmm
be, like, thinking, "Oh, I don't have keywords. I can't how am I supposed to start Google My Business if I don't know what keywords to use?" What are some ways people can get started to help them with those keywords?
yeah. I mean, if you don't know what keywords your business, I mean, if you don't know what keywords, your business should be targeting, you should really just go to Google and think about like what how do
Yeah.
I find myself? Like if I wanted to hire a
Yeah.
painter, how do I hire a painter? If I wanted to
Yeah.
hire a landscaper or whatever, or an online business manager, how do I do that? Like
Yeah.
so you're literally just going to start with whatever that service is that you offer and type it in Google.
Yeah.
And then you can go over to something like Uber Suggest or some other free keyword search tool. Like you can just Google
Yeah.
online free keyword search tool and then put that term in there, and it's going to bring you a lot of others. As
Yeah.
SEOs, we have a ton of tools available to us on the back end, and we do a lot of keyword research for our clients and kind of figure that out. But
Mhm.
it's definitely something that you should be doing from day one and not
Yep.
putting that off any amount of time, because if you start from day one, then you're going to get results way quicker and you're going to have less time on client acquisition and more time on actually fulfillment. So, or
Which
growth.
is a great point to bring up because
Yeah.
I know you have to go here soon and we're gonna be running out of time. So I want to hit one more key thing of, you know, you bring up a great point of it's gonna help you with your growth and it's not dependent on your social media, where I think a lot of people that are like, oh, I'll just find it online or I'll just find it someone on Facebook or Instagram because that's what
Yeah.
gurus or like the experts or the big flashy people tell you. And they
Yeah.
don't reiterate like how to really optimize your website
Yeah.
or how to optimize for these search results. They're like, oh, just put a post in Facebook or like, and then they wonder why the quality maybe isn't that great
Yeah.
of the service that they're getting.
Yep. That's exactly right. And I have a free download that will help everyone kind of put all of this into perspective. And it's called
Yeah.
6 Marketing Must to, um, you know,
Yeah.
basically it's a proven marketing system, right? So it starts with your website, then goes into SEO, Google My Business, Google reviews, Google ads, and then email. So
Yeah.
email is also that critical part that kind of ties it all together. So it's going to walk you through every single one of them. What's missing on there is social media, because social media is not a critical part of your marketing system,
No.
um, even if everybody else tells you that it is. So
Yes. I like that someone posted this the other day and I thought this was a great um reminder as they were like your Instagram or your social media should just be, it doesn't have to be posted to all the time. It's gonna just give you some that social proof, or like people are
Exactly.
gonna like talk to you and look it up and just see if it backs up, but they're not always gonna look and see if you posted like yesterday or today or whatever, like I
Exactly.
really liked when people were starting to do that 9 grid.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't like just
exactly. Yeah.
consolidated,
Simple.
simple,
Mhm.
like validate that I'm an actual person and, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I totally love what you're saying. And everyone, if you're listening, go download the download. It's in the show notes, in the description below, because it is amazing. And you definitely want to make sure if you're struggling to find leads or struggling to generate some revenue, especially with everything going on right now in the market, um, definitely reach out and follow Amanda. And she has amazing tips, because SEO is a long game, but it's tried and true. Like Instagram,
Yes.
Facebook, they've come and gone, like these social media platforms, like it was MySpace, like your website and your SEO is
Yeah,
going to carry you through
yeah,
all of this.
exactly. That's so true, and it's literally an organic marketing system. If you have all of those things in place
Mhm.
and you set up an email sequence, you set up everything that you need for each of those 6 steps,
Yeah,
it's literally going to operate for you.
exactly.
Um, and so it's just a super valuable thing to do from the beginning.
Yes. I am obsessed with, like, SEO now. Now that I've like
Yeah,
realized, like, I love relationship marketing, but SEO is definitely tried, true, never going away. You
exactly.
it's so overlooked, I think, especially with new entrepreneurs, new small business owners. So
Yes.
everyone, make sure to go give Amanda a follow. Also, go check out her podcast, The Determined Mom Show, because she has amazing guests. I'm not saying that because I'm one of them, but I've just learned so much from the episodes that she puts out. So make sure you go connect with Amanda as well. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Emma, and I truly appreciate it, and I truly appreciate you listening to the podcast too.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.